S-T-U-B. S spells Stubs. S-T-U-B. S spells Stubs. S spells Stubs.
That's Stubs.
Party people! Dang, can you feel it? It's a new episode of Stubs, your favorite sonic space where we discuss movies, music, TV, pretty much all kinds of things on all kinds of screens. Today we're going to talk about a movie. Not just any movie. A movie I've been pretty pumped about. That's right. Blumhouse's Wolfman finally hit theaters. I braved heavy snow, cold temps, and even skipped divisional round playoff football to see if you should put your hard-earned dollars down for the latest creature feature. Let's not waste any time. This week I'm joined by the ever-grumpy Pessimist Prime and first-time guest, Freddy. Last night, we all went and took in Blumhouse's latest drop, which is the 2025 Wolfman movie.
Is it Blumhouse or Blumhouse?
I think it's Blumhouse. I've heard, but yeah. And what's bad is I just listened to that guy, Jason Blum, on it. Yeah, Jason Blum. Yeah, it's Blumhouse. Yeah. Anyways, we're going to discuss how they characterize the Wolfman more or less here. And you're saying they went a little too... They didn't make him quite a monster enough.
He had a little rabies.
He had a little more humanity still there
well,
throughout
yeah,
the movie.
And then there's the whole, from the beginning, I mean, if we're going to start from the beginning, we should just start from the beginning.
There's not a whole lot to really spoil in this Wolfman
There's
movie
not,
as far
because
as I'm concerned.
You know what's going to happen.
Yeah,
but there is absolutely no character build in the beginning. None. You see him as a
they
guy.
tried to.
No, they tried to. But it was you had a 5-minute, 10 minutes of him and his
prologue.
dad, and his dad was an overbearing, overprotective
militant guy like
who's,
very by the
but
army
the
background.
kid at
right?
that time was what, maybe 8 to 10.
Sure.
So there was probably another 7 or 8 years of this boy growing up.
That's my major problem with it. There's 30 years in between when you do the prologue cut to whatever modern day
30
is.
years, right.
Like, he had to have had 10 to another 12 years of living there and nothing ever happened.
Well, right. And I took it and he doesn't remember, or he doesn't.
He just forgets all the rules and stuff that his dad instilled in him that whole time.
What cracked me up the most was he leaves, he says, I left as soon as I could leave. So you take that as 18.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, here's a guy that's living basically on the side of a mountain out in Oregon, out of touch of everything.
Yeah, off the grid.
And where's he going? Okay, so what? He go to Portland?
Straight
to Portland? Straight to what?
Straight to San Francisco.
San Francisco. Okay, so my question is, here's a guy that's probably got education from his dad, who's a militant, but yet he's a writer. We can't just make it. You want to make it really? Why couldn't he just be an Uber driver?
That's
or something?
something that drives me nuts
I'm
about
in between jobs. Oh, thanks.
The characterization of both these both the adults in this movie is that they're both surprisingly writers for some reason, but yet the mom is way more capable than I think anybody should be in this scenario.
Yeah, I mean the backstory was weak.
Well, it's okay. So if we're getting into characterization here, that's the thing at the setup at the beginning is that establish the dynamics for the adults in this as far as their relationship and then the relationship with the kid. Like, you already got that with the dad. Like, the mom just kind of feels shoehorned into this because
absolutely.
she's like, she's got to have a mom. You got to have a third lead in this at some point.
It's funny you feel that way.
She's terrible.
Because I feel like the daughter
actress.
is the one who's not necessary. And I think she was the one, she should have, she was the only character that I kind of like.
What, the daughter?
No, the mom.
What? Yeah, she did. I
like
that actress.
Julia Gardner.
Julia Gardner is a good actress.
Okay, so I just looked her up not too long ago.
She's been in a lot of things.
The Americans. She was in bunch of TV.
The biggest thing she was
in
Ozark.
Yeah.
So, but I will say this about her is
she better in any of those?
She's the same.
I think she's pretty good at this. Other than there's like 4 or 5 lines of There had to have been better takes.
It looks like there's supposed to be emotion there, and
but
she's
she
doing
is
nothing.
very emotionless. That's the way she is.
Yeah.
That's the way she looks.
But if
and
you're going to do that, establish that as a character trait. Don't have it be
there was
awkward.
no establishment of their. There was no. You felt
the
nothing
dad
between
is like,
the husband and the wife.
He's a stay-at-home dad. He's he's trying to be more emotionally supportive than his dad.
He's
ever was.
overcorrected from what his dad
Right.
is.
I understand that.
What
Right.
they presented at the beginning of the
like
movie,
most,
right?
I
Like,
assume generations as they follow,
Yeah.
that's how we get kids that are just terrible kids off the handle because their parents don't want to treat them like how they were treated.
Right. I understand, but they did not build up any. There was no. You felt nothing between her and him, the husband and wife.
Their relationship, which it was described that maybe they were on the outs of their relationship.
That's just
They
because
are.
they are.
It's all implied.
Right,
It's all
could
but
be
it
said,
wasn't. But
you know?
it was straight out. Hey, what's wrong with us?
We are broken.
Yeah,
Right.
So
We
there
don't,
was no.
Do you love me? Are you happy?
on the
Like,
steps of what looked like a courthouse.
Yeah.
But she's a writer.
She was a writer. It did look very much like she was taking a break from a case.
What?
So,
This is so weird.
she always has that same expression, and she did it in that movie as we were watching. It's just this blank. She doesn't talk. It's just this blank stare, and it doesn't. You can't tell if she's happy or sad.
So is that
or
what
scared.
they wanted for
She's
this
an enigma.
role, though? How
No, but
weird
that's
is
just
that?
her. That's
Well,
she
sure,
is.
But you're gonna cast this girl to
Well,
do this
I guess you
role,
do,
and
because
that's what you're
that's-
looking
to
for
me,
this
though,
character.
in certain scenes, I think it works perfectly.
Well, yeah.
Like, as he's going through the transformation, and she's meant to have, like, five expressions on her face of, like, I don't know.
What's
I
going
don't
through her head?
Exactly.
Is she like?
She doesn't even know what's
so
going through her
as
head
an
at that
audience
moment,
watching
right?
it, you're supposed to impress like whatever she's probably going through. She's not panicking. She's not freaking out. She's just like standing there, kind of concerned, I guess.
Oh, see, I took it like I felt like she conveyed what am I doing? What do I even do here?
Well,
what am I supposed to do
she's
here?
lost in that moment,
Right, and she did a good job of that.
I think that's yeah.
But
I think she did good enough on that.
when she's talking about I love you, that felt very forced. That felt
dude, the
very.
whole first part of the
if
movie
they
is
are on the outs of their relationship, she should have no problem with putting him down.
Sure.
at any other points.
They got a kid together, man. They're
I
not
don't know.
on that point.
After he tries to gnaw on her,
Oh, okay.
We're having a little bit of trouble. I'll put you down. Like,
Yeah. So, all right. So we all established that they did a horrible job of
the acting
building.
is in the character development.
Well, I can't say all the acting was bad.
there's
The little
some
girl
stuff
wasn't
that's good.
bad.
I
think
thought
the
she
dude
was
is
awful.
fine.
She didn't bother me.
I forget his name, but
See, his name's Christopher Abbott, but I've never the
I don't
things
think
he's been in.
I didn't.
Yeah, I didn't recognize him too
So
much.
we
either.
talked about earlier generations. I don't know if you guys remember this. This was going to be a Ryan Gosling movie.
yes, I read that. Oh my gosh, how much better would this have been?
I mean, again, I would like to think that as if he would have been in there would have been a little more like, all right, this isn't flying, guys. We've got to do some work here, right? Because no, if you just drop him into this exact movie, that doesn't fix it. Like there are problems in
There
this
probably
movie.
would have been
yes.
a lot less of him in prosthetics and stuff at one point because
Maybe.
as soon as you cover that face up, you're gonna lose like
But
his.
see, I feel like he's cool with that. Like
maybe.
he strikes
He's never
me
done
as
it before,
He
as far
strikes
as
me
I
as a
know.
guy who would be willing to do that
sure
for the right opportunity,
step outside
right?
of the comfort zone.
Well, so okay, let's kind of as we go through the movie.
Get to the house.
All right,
You
so,
get to that-
Well,
yeah,
right.
well-
So okay, so we've talked about. All right, he had a rough childhood. They've got trouble. He gets a letter that says Dad's passed away.
All
Or
from
did-
UPS, by the way. Which
UPS. Yep.
There's a lot of UPS
There was a
branding
lot
in
of.
this.
I just and you see the UPS truck, and I was like, so has UPS threw in a little bit of money for this?
Sure they have.
You don't
So-
do that
yeah.
kind of free
Yeah.
No,
promotion
yeah,
with
yeah,
that.
yeah.
So
That's never
someone,
an accident. It's
Yeah.
never. Oh yeah, there's like
it could have been a CGI truck after the fact. As soon
yeah.
as they turned around and they shilled out for
someone's
whatever.
made a blue wrapped truck
Sure,
that they
sure.
just superimpose all that stuff on.
That was-
right?
happened
You'll
to be
see
right
it driving
by-
around town. You know,
The
so-
UPS truck was
Green
right by
screen
the
truck.
courthouse that she was working
Right,
at.
exactly.
So-
Yes,
Yeah.
that's where-
but yeah,
Product
yeah.
placement
So
at its finest.
yes, they head up in Oregon. It doesn't say where though. It doesn't even say where they're at.
I have speculation on this, but go ahead.
Well, no, I'm just saying they don't say where
I
they're
think
at.
they're in
It's a
San
big
Francisco.
city. Well, it could
Oh,
be.
they are in San Francisco. I read that.
Okay.
So, yeah, but it is, and it's just when he says, "I got to go up."
Yes.
So that
Okay.
to me, I was like, all right, well, he's in California or something like that.
If you read that,
you know what I mean?
then that solidifies
But
my
I did
theory.
read it.
My
that they are in
theory
San
is,
Francisco.
as we sat and watched the credits, which is totally unnecessary. There's nothing at the end of the credits.
Yep.
But as we watched the end credits, at the very end, there's a credit for Invisible Man 2020 on there, and because they used footage from it somewhere,
Right.
and I'm like, where is this? I
Right.
was literally trying to figure out where it is, and everything is so close knit, especially when they're in the house. There's no way you don't see anything on TV or anything like that. You don't see news broadcasts or anything. I think it's the establishing shots of the city. I think that's where
It could have been.
they just reused it from Invisible Man of San Francisco.
They could have.
I think that's what it is.
And one thing I got thinking about now that we were saying that it is in San Francisco, there were a lot of homeless people. Remember, as they're walking down the
walking
sidewalk,
around.
Yeah.
Sure,
and
makes sense.
You know, so
Right.
that
Well,
would
they
make
have
sense.
That was
brush
the-
with the. I don't know if it's meant to be somebody.
That's
They have
the-
a brush with someone who's like, "Don't let the dog off the chain" or whatever. And it's just like, thank you for that foreshadowing. Like, it's a Wolfman movie. I think we knew where we're gonna get to, buddy.
busiest
Like,
cross intersection that I've ever seen.
Well, I don't
in
know
a
if you
movie
guys
in that moment.
if you remember the Andy Griffith show, Otis used to put himself in jail when he got drunk. That was Otis's grandson.
Wow.
was it really?
No.
No. Okay. Gotcha.
Oh my gosh, your fictional lore bits that
But
you
I had
think
you both
is gonna
like,
throw in
really?
there.
I was Otis's grandson.
That works. I love
Hanging
it. It's
on pins
beautiful.
and needles, expecting some truth facts.
I've been
that's
waiting
coming
for the
from you.
big reveal to move the needle, move the meter for this podcast. I think that Andy
might
Griffith
be it.
reference.
I like it.
That's going to be the
All right,
one that finally
go
gets
through,
us,
go
gets
through
us
the rest.
there.
All
right,
they're
so
traveling in the truck.
They're in the truck. And
They-
first of all, you would never take that big of a truck out there without another car.
Well, that's what I thought,
That was
too.
the one thing that didn't make a lot of sense to me. But anyway, who knows? Maybe
there's a lot of logic.
There's a
problems
lot
with
of
this. But that's natural in all of these movies.
Sure.
So I feel like I'm not going to hold that against this movie.
Gotcha.
Like, you know what I mean?
They're
Like,
just those two adults
Wait,
are just that incompetent.
Well, I'm
Yeah.
just saying, when you have, heck, they may not even have had a car if they live in San Francisco.
Possibly.
impossible. Yeah.
You know,
I mean, the writers, they can order, they can live in a pretty nice apartment on whatever two of their profitable
their two
salaries that
writer
they're
salary.
making.
Yeah.
They might not be able to afford a car. We don't know what their
Well,
financial
I'm just
standings
a lot
are.
of people
So,
in metropolitan areas don't own cars.
But
So, yeah.
then you have the when he's lost and not sure, and there happens to be a deer stand because most people build
they
their
pull
deer
up
stands
where they-
right beside the road.
Well,
right
they're not on a road.
He's
Well,
sure
or
I
the
remember-
driveway. That's still whatever you
it
want to
is.
call
But
it.
I get you. They
Yeah.
typically
Trying to
put them further out.
Trying to remember how to get there because he's been gone for so long, and he happens to think that it's one way when he's not sure, and then they
Right.
stop. They see the deer blinds, and a guy comes out, which does get referenced earlier. That the guy, his dad is talking.
Oh yeah,
to
he's
on
talking
Yeah,
to his
that's
buddy.
established
That
with
was
the kid.
that
Yeah,
was
that
that
was
didn't
fine.
bother
Yeah,
me,
yeah,
but the
yeah.
fact that the deer stand was literally
Eyesight
right
within
in
eye
front
shot of
right,
the road.
of a
by-
road, right?
the-
Yeah, it's like
road, driveway, whatever you want to call it.
terrible positioning for a deer blind.
And as soon as he gets in the truck, they drive and it gets dark. I'm like, it wasn't dark.
There's some time of day magic that occurs in this
That was
movie.
my other point.
Yeah.
Oh,
Got
yeah, with the-
huge
at the
problems
end, yeah.
of timing
Yeah,
and placement of how long things take.
This
And
night goes forever,
yeah.
and
This
then
is-
now suddenly it
Yeah.
doesn't.
literal
Okay.
maybe 12 hours
Well,
of an
and-
evening, and it's
when
like
the guy
you're all
gets
over
in
the
the
place.
when he gets in the truck, he goes, it's just up the road. You know,
Yeah.
it's just up a little bit, but it'll be night. Because then he's like, well, you don't want to be out here at night. But
Yeah.
let me get in the truck with you. We're just going to go right up the road, but
He
it'll
goes,
be
I
night.
don't know if you remember the rules or how it works out here or something
He
like
makes-
that.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
he made a
right,
reference
right.
saying you don't want to be out.
You don't
at
want to be
night.
out. We don't stay out
We
past
don't stay
night
out
around
past
here,
night.
right?
I'm going to hop in this truck with you and drive
And I'll just walk back, I guess.
in the mid darkness.
Right, yeah, he
So,
doesn't think. I
yeah.
mean, I thought that would have come up where he'd be like, well, I'm just staying here for the night or something. Like people up there would have just been okay with it. But again, this goes back to the kid lived there for probably another 10 to 12 years. What this had to have come up before. Like,
Well, yeah,
he
there's
should have
a lot of-
remembered that,
sure.
if somebody was going to go out at night, there are rules that you're not supposed to do. So I
Right.
don't know. It's just maybe
There
took
are
a
a
lot
lot
of
of things that they
when he
just
was
let-
he got out of there.
Is that character we're talking about? Is
Derek
he even
is his
necessary?
No.
He is for the first kill.
Well, sure.
Oh, so they have someone to kill. Okay, so he's literally there
well,
just to be
and to
removed.
get the gun.
At the end, it's set up. Yes.
Yeah, it's a setup.
I guess that makes sense. I mean,
Which
I would have
also-
assumed there would have been guns at
In
the
the
house.
house.
That's my other point.
Mini
Yes,
guns.
mini guns.
in the
Yeah,
house.
this dude's
His
all
dad
crazy about
is
survival.
Ex-military.
Yeah.
He's a hunter.
Yeah.
Where are the guns in that house?
Yeah.
The kid just forgets. Nobody thinks to go hunting around.
Thankfully,
for
he
one.
goes and finds the secret place for the flashlight, though, that
Yes.
still works.
Right,
so,
right.
you know.
He can
Or-
remember how to turn on the generator and flip the breakers for the place, but he doesn't remember anything else.
I don't know of any generator that you can start
just like that.
From
that old. That's I'm sorry.
It
that
sputtered
old
a
of
little bit there,
I know,
Fred. You know,
but
it struggled. It didn't just fire right up.
that generator looked like it came from World War II, and he flipped it on from the inside the basement.
Yep.
And the generator's literally 3 houses over.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well,
you know what?
His
Once
dad
again,
ran-
it is.
Dad was
yeah.
not afraid to run some line, is what I'm seeing.
Right,
You know what I
well,
mean? So
yeah.
definitely had some good gauge cable to
But
make
you know,
that work.
to be legally cleared dead, how long is that? 7 years, I think, maybe 7 or
yeah,
11,
how long
somewhere
has he
in
been
that.
gone?
So-
It's got to be
So
something.
yeah,
You know,
so,
so
I mean,
there's-
everything looks like it's got a good not age to it, but like a
Right.
good tarnish on
A little bit,
everything.
but you got gas sitting in a generator for that long. I'm telling you guys, it's not going to just
No,
Well,
fire
then
and then
up.
His
when
buddy in the
what
tree
turned
stand
it off
comes
to
and keeps
begin
an
with.
eye on
that
it. He
could
checks
be.
on the place,
That could
right?
be, maybe. If he would have said
Gosh,
that,
they could have said that. They would've fixed
that
it,
would have
right?
made that would have helped his character. I've been watching your dad's place because you just never know if he's going to come back.
throwaway type of lines that would fix so many plot holes
Sure.
in this movie.
Sure.
All right, so look, they're in the truck.
Okay,
they
that's
pick up somebody.
One of the best parts of it is as they pick up Derek, and then they're traveling to the house. Derek. They have it's one of the best, I think, like moments or scenes in this movie is this car accident that they have.
Yeah.
So they see something jump out in front of them.
Frog.
And then he swerves off like any good self-respecting horror movie driver should just swerve off the road and not immediately apply their brakes and stop.
Yep.
But they swerve off the road, and then the POV of the camera in that cab as it's going down and all that rattling and stuff is pretty neat.
That was good.
And then when
It
you
is
find
good.
out
Yeah.
after it's crashed, the Jurassic Park-esque
Jurassic Park
shenanigans that
hanging
have
in the
happened,
tree. Yeah.
where
yeah,
the
yeah,
truck
yeah.
is literally stuck between 2 trees. This is a big box truck. Like, how it was able to do that is kind of insane.
They don't
Oregon.
make trees like they used to, buddy.
In Oregon,
Yes.
anything's possible.
That's right.
Yes,
There you go.
Wolfman.
Those trees
Wolfman.
are built different up there.
No, that was a good scene. I'll agree.
It's interesting. Like I wouldn't have thought of a set piece like that would have you set this up and then call back later for just as a landmark kind of thing.
Yeah, and it had great batteries for that truck.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it just
And
chills.
you find that
it's
out.
good to go later.
You find that
Yeah.
out later on
Yeah.
that headlights still going
Headlights still work. Yep.
Yeah.
That gas apparently is still turned on.
So
That caught fire.
so we got the accident, the truck. Good intensity there. You
Yep.
know, the Derek falls out. You saw that coming real quick,
right.
You know,
Derek doesn't make it, guys.
Derek-
We're just gonna
If,
drop
for all
it
the
on
Derek
you. Yeah.
fans out there, he does not make it.
so
unfortunately.
but there, you have a great premise like this. You have the mom and the daughter climb up. They're up on the side of the truck, and he's kind of hanging.
understand their purpose for that. Why wouldn't they go down? And
Well, they didn't know
decide to
how
go up?
didn't know how high they were.
Well, it makes sense after the fact because then because the slope of the hill would have been, the slope was at the back, so it would have been less of a drop if they jumped on that side.
I think I would have done the same thing. If you're falling down, you don't usually just drop to see how. Hey,
Well, I thought that the weight of the truck would have been super bad to get underneath of it, but it still hangs up there. So I
right.
guess it
Well,
was
that's
stuck
another good point. So
That's a good tree. It'll hold.
So you get up, and that was all fine. He shuts the door, which he has a hard time shutting. Now, this is where I had the problem. The side view of the Wolfman coming down the side, that was cool.
Yep.
Good photography. good
How does
film
that
photography.
work? It's from below. So
No,
he's
I took it.
walking.
I took him. No, I thought
He's
he was
looking down the
cry-
mirror.
He's looking
He's
down
looking
the
at
mirror, the
but
side of the
mirror's
truck.
on the inverted side, so it's close to the ground.
No,
So
it's
the
still
Wolfman's
seeing the
just
side of the.
walking up to it.
No, he's I took it that he was crawling on the side of the
He's
truck.
crawling on the side of the truck upside down.
No, he's just
It's
crawling.
on its side.
It's on its side.
It's on its side, but the door it's got
Oh, yeah.
it's hanging
If the girl
open.
and the mom are on top,
Yeah.
then it would be the
He
other
shut
side.
the
Oh, I
door.
guess so.
All
Yeah,
that
that's true.
force.
I guess he's
So
I guess he is
he's not
climbing up.
climbing
he's
it.
Spider-Manning
Spider-Man.
it. Yeah.
Why?
Because he's the Wolfman spider.
No, he's just
He's
walking.
the wolf, and why not?
He's a wolf spider. You've not seen these? That would have made more sense. Wolf spider man.
Wolf Spider-Man. Yes.
No, that was still. I guess I didn't think about it like that. But it was just a cool shot.
Yeah, I don't
Doesn't
think
matter.
think
You
about
see
it.
something
Yeah.
sort of
Yeah.
in the mirror. The whole point of this
That
whole
was good.
beginning is that you're seeing everything obscured. So
Right.
it's why hide it when everyone knows
Yeah.
what it is?
So he's coming down. This is the problem that you had. As he smashes the window. I'll be honest, you couldn't. It was so quick and dark. I took it. This glass shattered onto him.
Right.
So that's how I took it, and I'm like, well, sooner or later, this guy's got to get bit.
Well, they make reference to, he's like, I think I got sliced by glass, and she's like, this doesn't look like.
Well, he
cut
says
by
that
glass.
afterwards. I'm just saying when it
Oh, no,
absolutely.
I thought that they properly showed him getting slashed on the arm.
No, it's
Oh, see, I
questionable.
couldn't-
That's the
you-
whole point.
that
If
was-
it worked for you and it was questionable, that's the whole point.
You
is
could
that
see
you
the
don't
hand.
know.
I felt, very clear that you see that he gets scratched on the arm.
I mean, I figured that's what
Yeah.
it was, but I couldn't tell.
But that's
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. That's the point. Is that some people may say it happened there. Some people in that moment might think it was just a glass cut. That's good. They did well. setting
Yeah,
that
like
up.
the movie's better if you're questioning it, I guess,
Okay,
right?
sure.
Like,
I mean, but
if
once
he
he's-
is like if the guy, we don't remember the main
His
guy's
name's
name.
Blake.
Blake. If
Yeah.
Blake absolutely knows I got scratched
yeah.
by this thing,
Sure, I
then
get you on that.
even with years removed, he would still slide into like
Questioning.
Yeah.
questioning and
Sure.
all of that stuff, which it is anyways.
But we
go
don't know
ahead.
how it's set up. We don't know what the rules are just yet and stuff. So you
Rabies.
are assuming.
It's fast
But
acting
we
rabies.
don't know that yet. At this point in the movie,
Yeah, that it all took place in one night was quite shocking for me.
oh yeah,
This all-
again, the
I mean-
timetable is all over the place.
But I
for
mean,
this
all
night.
this in one night. You usually have, full moon.
See, I think that's so.
Well,
to me,
it's
I
bucking
think
the
that's a
trends to the
strength
rules.
as far as one of the concepts that they went with here.
Well, I agree
Like
with you.
it's good because again, there's a traditional Wolfman movie, and you spend the dread of all the
Sure.
full moons coming and all
Okay.
of that. And I mean, again, while that's a trope, that is cool.
Well, let's think about the
But
tropes here.
I
As
liked
far as
the
how
idea that
rules
they were
work for
willing
like
to-
werewolves and stuff in general. In Jack Nicholson's Wolf, is it by full moon?
Jeez, I don't
remember.
remember. It's been way too long.
So some of the other ones where they just do it whenever they want would be like, I guess the Twilight movie.
yeah,
Yeah,
Twilight.
they change when they want. Or you could also say Monster Squad, isn't he?
No, that's
No,
by the
he
moon.
is by-
that's
he's
that's
by
traditional
moonlight.
rules.
Okay.
Silver
Yeah. I
bullet.
couldn't remember.
He
Yeah,
can't
yeah.
die
Silver bullet.
without. He
Right.
literally gets blown
Yep,
up. It's
nards
the best
and
thing
all.
ever.
Yep.
Yep.
Still,
Underworld.
they can turn when they want.
I think they can turn when they want in
So
Underworld.
this is kind of just falling into that line. Is it does the moon means nothing? It's literally
Actually, now that I think about it, in Silver Bullet, he can change into the wolf. But as in the movie, when the full moon's out, he's just wolfier.
Oh, nice.
But I'm
very
gonna,
nice.
saying
Well,
that,
I knew
I'm not
this
going to.
episode was not going to go
Yeah.
without Fred dropping a Silver
Hey,
Bullet reference.
Still one of the best werewolf movies.
Hey, I knew
by
it was
far.
coming.
not
That's
as
all
cool
good. That's
of a
all right.
title once you
It's all
figure out
right.
what silver.
Hey, you know
bullet
what?
means.
You get that's true. But if you take away the acting in that movie, which is absolutely horrible,
Yeah, take away the acting.
the story is one of the best werewolf
Yeah.
Well,
stories.
I go
by
so
far.
far as to say this is the same. You take the acting and some of the other, like the premise for this as a Wolfman-esque, or not even a Wolfman, like just call it like any
Raby
other
Man.
generic horror movie, Chihuahua Man, whatever. It's just remove that kind of like preconceived notion of how you think Wolfmans are supposed to work, and just left it alone as its own horror movie. It could still work, I think, as a premise.
Yeah,
Everything else
sure.
is kind of questionable.
So this
with
is
the acting
Godzilla
and some
98
stuff.
syndrome, which is if it's called something else, people
Yeah.
are probably receiving
Call
it
it
a little better.
Iguanodon, and then leave
Well,
it at that.
I guess that's
Okay.
where we get to the point. It should be the Wolfman, though. If I'm going to go watch Wolfman, I want to see the Wolfman.
Well, but that's the problem
Yeah.
is that the IP, the,
Well,
the
that's what-
franchise mainstay of it is what's going to draw people in, not so much the. I mean, I don't know. I would go so far as to say a lot of people going into it would have a preconceived notion, and then the final result, especially with what he looks like,
is rabies.
it's going to
man.
be very disappointing
Sure.
when you compare it to what's come before.
Or they don't care. I don't think the majority of people care.
Well, there was only 8 of us there, so
Right.
On a Sunday night.
Yeah.
I know, but I'm just trying to say.
I know, in the middle of a snowstorm. Hey, when you got to see cinema, you've got to see cinema.
But I think for all of us,
but for the people who are fans
of the horror monsters, right? And this is something we have all been instilled our whole lives. I brought it, it was brought to me by your dads, which are my brothers, and then we've passed it down to this generation. Yeah, you do have an expectation of, I want a werewolf. I want a Wolfman. Yeah. Like the first time I went and watched Underworld, cool concept, vampires versus werewolves a little bit, but those werewolves look like clay. They weren't that much hair. They changed them later on to make them look more.
They get more furry. One of them becomes like an alpha, and he's furrier than
the
others.
It's just, this concept of, I don't know if it's the writers, if it's the producers, the directors of this. Let's keep it more human. We don't need that. We've got enough of that. There's enough bad humans in the world already. Give us something
fantastic.
Fantasy.
Fantastic is an appropriate word here.
You know what I mean? That's all I'm saying. It's just like completely off the subject, sort of. We got the new Captain America coming out. I have absolutely no desire to see this because it's a Captain America who has absolutely no superpower. I don't need that.
Batman doesn't have superpowers.
But Batman's never had superpowers. I'm okay with that.
But you could
Captain
pass on
America.
the shield to you could pass on the cowl to someone who doesn't have the ability to do what Batman did.
I understand that. That's
fine. What the Nolan's trilogy ends with.
I understand. I'm just saying
they're fighting an uphill battle. I don't think you're wrong, right?
Yeah.
Like I can't imagine you're the only person who feels that
That's
way.
That's like buying peanut butter that doesn't have peanuts.
Well, this is a whole nother. We're gonna get into this.
But that's the same thing.
This one.
Okay. It's the same thing. When I'm trying to say, we have a Wolfman. I want a Wolfman.
Sure.
I don't want a hybrid.
I want Wolfman. And
I don't. This is a hybrid.
Outside of the looks, you get exactly what it is. There's a transformation. He's animalistic. He has some degree of super.
Well,
strength,
I'll say this. So now we're gonna jump a lot.
Well, okay. So really quick. Okay. Just guys, anybody listening, just so you're aware, this movie kind of goes exactly like you'd think. He terrorizes his wife and daughter throughout the night. He's slowly progressing more into a Wolfman. There's some other elements that show up, I guess, that might be considered maybe a spoiler. I don't think they're super dynamic or interesting.
Well, we all knew who the other Wolfman
absolutely
was.
You absolutely knew that. It's not a mystery and all that.
This is a plot point that's happened in multiple other movies.
Right.
That are in the same genre.
It wraps up. And then that the end of the movie happens, and the good people don't. I don't know if I don't want to go through the rest of the beats of the movie to be completely
but
honest
I do want
to
talk about 2 things that they did that was very realistic of a wolf.
I'm just saying everything from this point on is everything's on the table. So feel free to go anywhere you got. Right. That's all. That's all.
Abandon the plot at this point.
The plot is.
The plot is he this guy gets slashed by a wolfman. He slowly turns into a wolfman
in a night.
And his wife and daughter are left to take care of this, and then it ends like you would think it would at the end of the movie, where they're not going to kill the wife and daughter.
So I guess
credits roll.
Again, if we're comparing apples to oranges here, other werewolf-based movies where you're showing either he is already a wolfman and he's just dealing with the symptoms, or it's showing the progression. Okay, this is showing the progression as an infection, which leads into whatever other else that they were trying to go with here, but seeing that progressive degeneration where he himself thinks that he's dying from something that they don't understand is interesting as an idea. I mean, the result is obviously good or bad,
so for you, if the design is better,
sure, if the design of the final form was better,
it
could have done really well as far as showing this is a tragic thing that's happening to a person as they're dealing with the ailments that are existing from having to convert from a human to something else.
Okay, but as far as you're concerned, I would say,
The Fly.
Let's really quick. Let's hit this really quick. All right, so for me, let's go with just our ratings really quick, as far as where we land on this movie, where we'd rate it, and all of that. So for me, I give it the number, and then we give it to Stub or not to Stub as far as whether or not you should go to a movie. Okay,
What are we doing? 1 to 5?
It's
1 to
always
10?
1 to 10.
Okay.
Use what you know what I mean. So for me, this movie lands at like a 3.8. I was kind of bored. It was a little slow. I don't love the design. There's some rough acting in it. With that said, I think there's things that you're not going to hate yourself for watching it once. It's not an absolute dumpster fire. It's not terrible. It's not horrible. But I would say,
do you have to see
Stub, you don't have to go and see this in the movies.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I'd give it a 3.8, 3.9 maybe.
Sure.
There's some cool scenes, without a doubt. There's definitely some great jump scenes.
There's great tension. And
great
the body
tension.
horror stuff and transformations
but
are pretty
as far,
cool. Yeah.
you know, the plot is bad. I mean, it's so, you know,
It's
you're
rudimentary.
building up, you're trying to build something, and then it just boom, boom. Okay, this ain't going nowhere. Let's just get to it. Let's get to it. So
how many times does characters pass out and then we wake up later on as things have happened when they've been asleep?
Yeah.
Like, it's so weird.
I mean,
in transitions.
While
where
I
do you
watch it
land on
again, no.
Yeah, I was going to say.
So you're Freddy. What score?
About a 3.8.
Yeah, I mean, again, for me, the other part is like throwing a letter in here out of nowhere. Like, the kids actually, Kelsey really liked it. Kelsey was like, no, that movie was.
But they've never.
Well, but that was what
experienced
this
some of
was.
the
What
other
this
stuff.
is definitely what it's geared for.
It's geared
Absolutely.
for them, right? I'm
For
with
a
you.
generation
It's
that's never
Very
seen
small.
anything.
You don't have to. This whole new generation is instant,
Yeah.
instant.
Yeah,
Everything.
there's no build. I mean,
right.
there's a build in this movie, but it doesn't build to like this giant Wolfman showcase sequence. It just builds to
one night.
where
One
she
night.
has to make a really tough decision at the end of the night. All right, Trent, where do you land with this thing?
This is, I mean, I it's low for sure. I was gonna probably just put it middle of the road because, again, the problems that I have with it, if the design was better, I think I'd enjoy it more.
Yeah.
I mean, that doesn't change the problems that it has. It still has problems, but like this is a step below. It's like a 4. Invisible Man is like a 5. It's slightly better just because like the plot structure and stuff and the elements of what's going on in that is way more interesting and dynamic because it goes places. There's things that happen over the course of the story for that.
Yeah.
This just spins its wheels for like 6 hours that exists within the night of these people dealing with this.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy. This does not feel like it's from the same director, which is really, really irritating.
Well, so something
they're
like
this is
same
the same director.
Yeah. Well, I didn't realize apparently him and his wife work together on movies, and she has passed away.
Oh, so
And
this
this
could've been a
movie
Zack
is
Snyder
kind of like his
scenario.
way of working through that somehow,
I
like
can see
letting
that, I
go.
suppose.
And like when I heard that, I was like, well, it sounds like respectfully, the more talented person was lost because like some of those sensibilities that are Invisible Man that do kind of make it a little more engaging and a little more interesting.
And coming from a female
lost.
protagonist perspective, yeah, I can totally see that. It's almost like if this girl was supposed to be that character's that level of like female protagonist, like she takes over the movie
carries the
halfway
movie.
through. Like
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
about the guy up until when he starts to change and then it flips.
That's
But
I think what they did.
I think
though.
that's what they
Sure.
were trying to do. She's just, I don't know. Either she didn't bring it in this role or the range is just not
I just
there.
don't think the writing was there. I don't
Well,
think
maybe
it was.
not.
You
Yeah.
know, it
She
was,
says like a handful of lines throughout the whole movie.
I think it's tough in the fact that like so while I like the idea of like let's just do one night here. There's nothing really in any of her actions that really make you super engaged. Everything's just kind of like
roaming around the house.
Well, just like when she
standing
lets
around,
him
just
back
doing-
in. So you just watched him.
Why would you let him back
You just
in?
watched
Yeah.
him go fight another Wolfman.
Yeah.
He jumps off a greenhouse, and then you're going to just let him in? No.
Yeah.
No, I love my wife more than anything. But if she showed up looking like a dog, drooling, I'm going to keep her outside.
So, okay, that's a whole thing we haven't talked about yet, is that as
His
he's
descent
degenerating,
into madness should have
he's-
been a little more.
his senses are
something,
getting heightened.
you know?
Yeah.
He's seeing things and hearing things at a heightened level that an animal would, we assume. But like, and that makes a language barrier. He like loses the ability to
Yeah.
speak. He can't, and when he's hearing them, he's not interpreting,
What they're
actual
saying,
words and
right.
stuff. So there's
And
a
that's cool. I
disconnect.
like that.
And
That
that
was
is a
good.
very interesting idea. I don't know.
But she doesn't see that. So that's the thing.
She doesn't.
So she doesn't know. Like she says when she's talking on the CB, they don't do a good job of showing that she doesn't understand
what she's seeing when he's saying he should be rambling or growling or something.
Right.
But we never see her
trying
to listen.
But
to
that's
it,
the trick when she lets him back in, or no, is when he gets grabbed by the dog under the dog door.
Well, that was before they went out.
Right.
Yeah.
But he passes out, and we are already hearing the instance of him hearing her, like as he's fading, and she's not saying words correctly.
Right.
We'll say this real quick. You know how the
transition
from hearing him and them. That was awesome.
Yeah.
I hadn't seen that before. I mean, I've seen things like that before.
But they did a good job. It was a great element.
But the other two things that I really liked was when she did. With his wrist, and she pulled up his arm, and as a animal will do, animals lick their own wounds. That's exactly what they do. Now he definitely took it to extreme.
Well,
but what was odd is like after he did that, he had a little bit of senses. Did you guys notice that? Like,
he comes in and out.
I know, but it was just weird that it's like, I just licked my own blood. That was great. Now I feel I'm back to normal now. You know, and it was cool because you never seen that before. And the scene where he chews off his leg, because they will say that is something that wolves will do to escape from their being,
the level of
the bear trap was pretty cool.
Yeah,
they will.
I have problems with that too.
Okay,
really?
Well, go ahead.
Yeah, because so again, you can see it through the filter, the other side when you see it from in darkness. Which I mean, if our theater just needed to turn up the bright levels or something, like you catch certain things, the things that you're supposed to see, him coming down the stairs like we said before, and then not noticing, and then him being behind the little girl, which you don't notice until he becomes more prominent. But when you do in that barn, when you do the transition of seeing it from his perspective, he can see pretty darn good.
Yeah, but I don't.
How does he not see that?
I don't
bear
think
trap?
He doesn't. One, if his senses are now becoming more of an animal, you don't even know what that is.
Oh, well, that's true.
You know
but
what I mean?
then
he is fixated on them.
True.
You know.
So for placement, from blocking, okay, they're up against what I assume is the other side of the barn wall from where the door is. He's in front of them. Where is the bear trap in this scenario?
Under hay on the ground.
In front of him. How do they run past him?
Oh, I don't know.
And not hit the bear trap.
Well, they would know where the bear trap was at.
Do they in the dark?
He steps on the trap.
She grabs the chain. She
places
knew where
the
bear trap.
In the dark?
Well, there's some moonlight. What do you want, man?
I'm just saying.
This is one of those things you just
and
gotta
here's
go
another
with
thing.
in a movie.
Look at her.
Holes don't matter.
Yeah,
that's not a plot hole. That's just a necessary.
She's the size of
oversight.
2 toothpicks. She probably couldn't even open that bear trap if
right,
she wanted to. So if we're gonna
yeah,
get
we
into
didn't hear a
that.
giant
leaps in logic.
Open.
A journalist can fire a gun perfectly.
Yeah.
Well, at that range.
At that range,
right
I was
there,
and that was okay. But him gnawing all of his foot was cool. I liked it. That was one thing I will say. If you're turning, that's what those.
Well, it's believable. It again, this being more animalistic rather than Wolfman-esque kind of is that's a good interpretation of it. There's again, if you take out the design itself from that transition and comparing it to like Cronenberg's The Fly would be the best kind of basis for this. And then that level of consciousness that he does have where he does seem to keep reverting back or pushing against those animal instincts where he's becoming clear. Like but that is spotty. Like in that moment where he's saying he's gnawing on his arm and stuff, he's like full blown, like it's all just instincts and stuff. And then he becomes clear again. By the time they're running around outside and they get in the truck and they're climbing on the greenhouse, he's like aware, I assume. He's not gone feral at that point.
I took it he didn't go feral till after he took care of
Papa
Wolf.
Wolf. And
I saw the tattoo, but Papa.
Then he goes outside, and then he gets a little bit more his jaw. When he pulls his jaw down, that was
the transformation.
I like that the transformation
was pretty cool.
They were good.
But like it doesn't look any different. He slightly looks different.
Well, yeah, he did a little bit.
You see his chest kind of cave in, and then he pulls the jaw, but he's already got teeth and an underbite.
It doesn't get to where you really want it to get to.
No,
like
you
the
want
execution of it, seeing muscles and bones and the body going through. You
it
know,
was
abnormal.
He's going through a transformation,
and they did a good job of presenting that.
The aftermath of that as being like all that different than what he looked like, 5 minutes before.
I get what you're saying. It wasn't bad. Is it what we're used to seeing as a Wolfman? No, we are so. Yeah, the last Wolfman, that Universal did. With
is Benicio del Toro, which is amazing.
It's an amazing movie. I love that. It's one of my favorite. A lot of people don't like it. A lot of people don't. There's some dry parts in it, not a lot, but that's a great movie. I love that movie.
It is.
It's one of my.
Why they never were able to benchmark the Universal monsters of that caliber afterwards is all studio.
It flopped. Yeah, I mean,
I don't understand why.
They had a disaster of a production. It was like. It went through multiple directors. Danny Elfman came in and did a score that they were like, nope, we're not going to use this. Brought in another composer and then decided to go back to Elfman's score. Then after the movie was done, they added a bunch of stuff where it was like, they went and filmed all the stuff where he's running on all fours in that movie. That's all reshoots. Some of the fights, all reshoots. So like it ballooned up to like,
whatever,
well over 100 and like it was like $150 million, man. Like, so they didn't stand a chance. I just watched a Rick Baker segment on Joe Rogan actually talking about how much he loved making that movie.
Sure, because the design is awesome.
It is. He was, so he won an Oscar for that.
Especially when he changes in the.
In the
chair, in front of the
hospital,
the auditorium.
It's one of the best transformations.
Absolutely, it's
ever.
Great. It's great
because it's one shot for the most part. You're seeing it happen in real time. We've never seen this really outside of.
You know what's wild? People complained about the VFX in that movie, and when you go back and look at them now, I'm like, this is better. Like 60 to 70% of what comes out now.
Right. Even though it's not all practical.
Yeah, it's
like
not
the CG
is
perfect. The CG is solid though.
But the CG, I know the practical stuff is great. Which that was another thing. Rick Baker was like, I'll never forget. He was like, he said something like, "Well, me and my partner who did all the prosthetic stuff. It felt like we were the only two people having fun making this movie. That everybody else was complaining." He said he talked about getting pulled into an office. He said there was a production manager who asked him, "Why do you need all this fur and all this hair? Why do we have to keep buying all this?" And he's just like,
"It's the Wolfman.
It's the Wolfman." Like, what do you mean?
Dumb.
Like, are we? But that's just so when you say like, why didn't it? It's because it was a disaster apparently to make. And I don't know if you guys remember. They announced it in like 2006 or 7.
It was right after the strike.
And they kept pushing it back.
Yeah.
Like it had 4 or 5 dates and it pushed back 2 years from its original date. So I think even if you make a good movie, which they made a good movie, I enjoyed that movie.
There's some good scares in that too.
Absolutely.
There's some great jumps.
Emily Blunt's in that movie.
Yeah, I just didn't even realize. Dude, there's some great...
It's a shame.
It's a shame.
It's got a lot. It's a great cast. If you haven't watched that movie, watch 2010, 2010's Wolfman. I'm pretty sure it's 2010's Wolfman. It's solid.
Silver Bullet.
And Silver Bullet.
You can try and go through.
All right. So one other thing I wanted to just point out really quick on the opening, there were 2 little bits, which was the dad, who's all
the beta dad.
The alpha dad.
Is he?
Is he? He's an alpha dad. Absolutely. Yeah. Which again, and like, I like the little undertone of just like, it's so easy to lose someone. So we don't know what's happened to mom.
Right.
But there again, let's not bog
us you're talking about his dad.
His dad.
Thought you were talking about him as the dad.
No.
Okay. He's talking about the beginning.
I gotcha. Beginning of the movie.
Marine Corps
I like
dad.
that we don't spend a ton of time getting bogged down in exposition explaining what happened to the mom.
It gives
and
you
all
a prologue
that
bit at the
prologue
beginning.
is one of my favorite things that they did in this movie, because I know we made the jokes about like, okay, well, the's an element of traditional Wolfman that's missing.
Well,
here.
sure, and I understand
but I like that they. I like what they did.
It was quick.
It lets you get right to it.
It gets to it, but the thing I didn't like about it, like Trenton said, there's a good 10 years between where he was as that kid.
However much time,
whatever. But I'm just saying, you go from this boy who, even when he walked out of the basement, he was, oh, my dad's going to catch this guy. And he gets all, what's this all about? And then the next thing you see, he's, it's 30 years later with his daughter. So, yeah, there was a distance.
Huge gap of time.
Yeah, where, where is this at? Where's this guy, coming from? We didn't even know. How do you even know it's, only reason why you knew it was him older is, when he yells at her because she was doing something wrong.
Yeah.
And
how dare you, child, endanger your own life and me yell at you to try and prevent you from killing
the only
yourself.
Thing that I just realized that as we were going through it, and it doesn't really take a focus and it doesn't really change anything. I mean, it might be based on his characterization and probably not necessarily why he's inept in anything, but the shirt that he's wearing through the whole thing, I think is a U.S. Army shirt.
It was.
Is it?
Yeah, it's an Army
So
shirt.
United States Marine Corps shirt.
So are we assuming that either did he
know.
get that from his dad's house or was that his?
Or did he serve? I don't know, man. Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't come up at all, but
he went in the Army to
So-
become a writer, like most
That's
most
the path.
writers.
That is the
most
path that
writers
they take.
you write about your PTSD.
Hey,
I
it worked for
suppose.
Tolkien. So
Yeah, sure. Yeah, World War One. I think it was a lot worse than it is now.
So the other note that I had from the beginning was the dad's all crazy and again, just very tightly wound, trying to save his son, protect his son from this thing. That we find out was Wolfman essentially. I just wanted to point out the fact that it's like he's so concerned with saving his son, keeping his son safe. Right? They're out there hunting, and his son does not. Neither one of them have orange hunting vests on.
It's Oregon. Who else is going to be up there?
They can shoot each other, man.
Well,
and then
that's
again,
true.
obviously,
Maybe that
he's
was
got
the point.
another buddy and everything. Like, to me, it was just like they're out there hunting deer.
Well, the thing is, I think they were hunting anything.
Well, they're hunting for food. Yeah,
Right.
they're just out there
So
hunting
that's
for
what I'm
food. They're
saying.
living
That's
on the
why
land. I
they're
get
living
all
on the
that,
land.
right? But
So-
yeah, to me, I chuckled at that. Now, again, the other thing the argument that they could have made was like, well, maybe like that son never leaves his side, right? Like they should
Sure.
never leave his side. But on the other hand, the son does kind of take off on his own, and
Right,
it's just
when
like,
he gets
so
tries
to
for a
me,
better
it's just
shot.
like. So you separate regularly, and you just don't think the
Kid doesn't listen.
cross this.
Kids don't listen.
Well, here
This reminds
now,
me a lot of Rare Exports, actually.
talking
That's
about in the beginning too. So, Jason, you're a father.
Yeah.
I if you're on top of that deer stand and you're in there and whatever it is,
It's the
a
hiker.
Wolfman, huh?
It's the hiker.
I understand who I'm saying in a realistic scenario.
Oh, okay.
You're up in a deer stand. Something's trying to open that door. I'm shooting through that door.
Yeah, I'm
Absolutely.
not waiting for
I'm
that
not
door
waiting.
to open.
You've got at least like 7 to 8 rounds in that rifle.
Well, that's what I'm
so-
saying. You're shooting. I mean, it was just a little plywood door.
Yeah.
And you're shooting through that, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Especially
Especially if this is something you've been hunting for. You done saw it tore up a deer.
Or
Yeah.
You're
even if
going to
you
shoot
don't-
it right then.
Even
right
if you
then.
don't hit it, you just scare it off.
Well, I'm just saying, though,
Yeah.
if it's,
It's
you
going
know
to take it off enough, right?
You know
Yeah.
it's at the door because it's rattling it.
Yeah.
You shoot through the door.
I'm
And
with
then the
you.
movie is over, and then we were saved all of this terribleness
true.
throughout the whole time.
You know? So
You could have called this the Wendigo.
Absolutely.
It would have made a lot more sense.
I agree with that 100%. It would have.
2025's The Wendigo.
Yeah,
sure.
I agree with that.
Interesting. Like, nobody
Yeah.
knows what that is. I
Well,
don't know.
I think most people.
Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe.
As you mentioned it earlier, it's just like they could have had a really awesome thing doing, which is like, don't take it out there in the woods. Keep it in the city and have it be a thing that's going through the homeless
Oh,
populations.
sure. Oh, then
in
you're-
different
then you're hitting-
metropolitans and everything.
Then you're hitting too many, like...
Well, again, I'm just saying you can. There's there's so much you
that's
could
too
have
close to
played
home.
with there, though, man.
there's too much symbolism that can go off the rails.
Nobody
from that.
knows.
You
Nobody
make it
tracks when they
controversial.
disappear. Nobody cares about them, and it's just like
Yeah.
you find out that's what's happening.
Well, that's why you don't do a remake of the Wolfman. You make a remake of American
Werewolf in
in London.
Yeah.
Okay,
and then
so
you do that.
I want to ask this: if you guys are going to your top 5 werewolf movies, I don't even know if there's 5 that you can
Well,
have.
5's
a top.
too many. Do 3.
Top 3, Trent. What's your top 3?
Top 3 exclusively just werewolf, or
Yeah,
is
werewolf.
he part of
No,
something?
werewolf. Just that's the premise of it all.
3
a
is
werewolf.
Frankenstein versus Wolfman. 2 is I really like The Howling, and then 3 would be, or the first one would be it's Del Toro's Wolfman. That one's the best.
All right.
I think Del Toro's Wolfman is the best. And then Lon Chaney's classic Wolfman, obviously. And then...
It's a little slow.
I know it's a little slow. Well, a lot of those are a little slow. And all that. And then for me, honestly, it's... American Werewolf in London.
Yeah.
American Werewolf in London.
That would have been my 3, I guess. But
and then honorable mention to Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein, which also includes the Wolfman.
Oh, it's got all of them.
So it's such a great... It's classic.
First, definitely would be American Werewolf in London.
Yeah.
Then I would say the newer version of the Wolfman with
Del Toro. Yeah. Nacho Del Toro.
Nacho Bel Grandes.
Yep.
And
They're so white.
And then 3 definitely for me is Silver Bullet because now you guys make so much fun of this movie.
I don't make fun of this movie.
Wheelchair.
Listen, the best part and what's sad is I will admit the main werewolf, they made him look pretty cheesy.
Yeah.
But the scene when they're in the church and they all turn into werewolves is awesome because those werewolves.
Oh, we didn't even talk about what we do in the shadows, but that's just like a cameo.
Yeah, but that's more vampires, right?
Right. That's but they show up. But
they're the enemy of them.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say. Go ahead. Keep.
No, I was just saying it's such a. As you watch Silver Bullet, that scene there in that church when he's dreaming. Oh, it's such a great scene.
Who made those ones? I wonder if that's a Sam Winston one or did
I don't think
Baker
Sam
do those? Do you think?
I don't know.
I don't really know. I'm
look
sure
it
we
up.
can find out.
So, but I just. It's hard to find a good werewolf movie. Now, Christy and I found a few.
Well, there's C-list ones that are Dog Soldiers is really good.
Yeah, that's not bad. But there's a couple that I'll have to show you guys that I have.
What's the most recent one that's got? Frank
Grillo.
That's
horrible.
Yeah.
You
watched it?
Oh,
It's just werewolves, right?
Oh, it's bad.
Is it bad?
It's bad.
Dang.
Trust me, it's bad. But there's one that we watched 2 years ago, and I can't remember the name of it, but they're on a train. And it's really good. And the train breaks down.
Yeah.
And they break down out in this woods, and it's got werewolves in it.
Is it modern?
Yeah. I offhand I can't remember the name of it. You guys talk real quick, and I'll look at it real quick.
I feel
amongst yourselves.
I feel like between the Del Toro and this movie, if you could just kind of meet in the middle of these two movies, you can make
possibly
a really great
the
Wolfman
advantage
movie.
of the Del Toro is that it's Victorian. It's set in a different era. As a modern werewolf story, there's so many different avenues that you could take it. See, like as a modern story, you have to deal with all the modern sensibilities that now exist within our culture.
I disagree. They shut that out very quickly. They got rid of cell phones and all that stuff.
But like movie? Last night?
What difference would it made? Like, even if they had phones, they can't call nobody. They're in the middle of nowhere.
But that's where they shut that down real quick. When he was like,
but I'm saying that you could still set it in a modern setting, and then it's just a monster that no one can deal with, and it potentially is just, in the shadows, or you can't figure out where it is. What does it matter if you call the cops? In Invisible Man, there's guys that are shooting around and carrying guns and stuff. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like, the same goes for this. It's a monster. He's running around slashing people up. Even if you get a couple shots, and if they go with their traditional lore, if you ain't got a silver bullet, you can't put it down.
Yeah, but now you go back with American Werewolf London. They didn't have silver bullets. They shot
again,
it.
if it's
that's what I'm trying to say.
Depends.
But this movie this newest Wolfman, there was no lore. There was just. It's not even a wolf. It's rabies. It's the new
leprosy man.
It's the rabies COVID. Anything else you want to put into it?
There's a lot of symbolism that I'm sure you could put into
it's a
day.
fast-acting infection that goes quick. The name of that movie, real quick, is Howl.
Oh, gotcha.
What year?
2015, I believe. 2015, it was very good.
Okay.
One of the better ones.
2015 Howl. All right.
That's a cool recommendation.
I definitely recommend it.
Well, it's hard, again, it's
hard to find a good
when you said you're like top 5, Trent was totally spot on, because in my mind I'm like, there's 5 that I can think of where like he's in it, but like to prominently feature like where he's the mainstay, that gets a little hard to rate. So.
Well, there are plenty of movies just not.
Well, not
Sure.
the prominent
Yeah.
ones. It's
Well,
like,
not good ones.
when you think about
You got
traditional
American-
horror, everyone's going to come up with like their top 5 is going to be the mainstays that everybody knows. Like unless you threw in like a real big cult following one,
Right.
you know, you really have to have seen it and known what it was.
They don't feel.
No,
Yeah.
this movie definitely had good ideas, but it got lazy. It got too just
Very stereotypical.
no. See, I disagree with that. This was not stereotypical. This was
Stereotypical of current thrillers.
Oh,
versus
current, sure, okay,
current
I can say
thrillers,
that.
Not Wolfman stereotypes.
Right, it's
current
what-
thriller types
of
Yeah,
what
yeah,
people
yeah.
are
Yeah.
expecting now. You know, the attention span now, especially, it's got to be quick, especially with a younger audience.
Sure.
Your TikTok users, your whatever.
Kind of surprised there was a bunch of gore in this, but there is more than it usually is, I think, in their stuff. And it's not a lot.
It's all
but
pretty
it's
dark,
there.
though, so it's easy for them
you
to get
obscure
away with a
quite
lot
bit
of it, right?
But that
Yeah.
doesn't, in modern stuff, like R rating, or I don't know, is this R rating?
I don't know.
This is rated R.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
usually they push for that PG-13.
Well,
Yeah,
I thought they were going to talk about making sure your pets were spayed and neutered. I thought
Yeah, that could.
Drew Carey steps out of frame at the very end of it and does a Rod Sterling moment. Hey, kids, remember.
You know who said that?
Yes, Bob Barker.
Okay, just making sure.
That's why I said Drew Carey.
But you said Twilight Zone. I was just getting a little
Like Rod Sterling.
I gotcha. I understand, but I was just trying to figure out. That's all. I knew. Okay. It's all
I
good.
make references and it doesn't do nothing, but you make references.
No, I was fine. I got
Andy
lost.
Griffith.
Andy Griffith, yeah. Hey, kids.
Bob Barker. Man, we are killing
Andy
it. The
Griffith
kids
is-
are going to chew this one up, guys.
Yep.
I can't wait.
I liked it.
We're going to be trending on
Old-time Freddy.
Tic Tacs.
Old time Freddy.
Hey, I like that. We can
No,
call
I'm
that.
not going with old time Fred. Come on, you don't want to be old time. All right. Last few bits here. For those keeping score, this movie kind of looks like it's going to be a bit of a flop, which I get. We also didn't really touch on the fact that there was a leaked image back in October of someone at Halloween Horror Nights in the final design makeup, and it was not really well received as it made its rounds through the web or around the web. I just remember they came out and they're like, well, there's a little more to it in the movie, which, I mean, honestly, like, sure, I guess, but I can't say it was significantly different, so, well. One other piece of feedback I saw for this movie was somebody had said they should have changed the mom to just be an older daughter. And I gotta say, I don't exactly know why, but I do think that dynamic may have worked a little better. Like, they really dropped the ball as far as presenting relationship to care about. So, anyway. And we could have had Mom Werewolf. So that would have been cool. Oh, man. That Blake guy just has the worst luck. All right, guys. That's all I've got. What did you think? Did you see the latest Wolfman? Have you seen any Wolfman? Did we miss your favorite Wolfman movie in our rant? As always, please like and subscribe and share. Go and find me out on the socials by searching Stubs with Jason. Feel free to hit me in the comments on Messenger or at stubswithjason@gmail.com. That's it. We're all done. It's time for you to leave.
Stubs.
All done.